Imagine waking up to find an entire village gone. No bodies, no clues, just silence. This is the story of Nyamekrom, the lost village. In the heart of West Africa, surrounded by dense jungle and winding rivers, there was once a village called Nyamekrom. It was a place of laughter, of tradition, of stories passed down through generations. The people of Nyamekrom were farmers, hunters, and craftsmen who lived off the land and followed the ways of their ancestors. But what set Nyamekrom apart from other villages was its deep connection to the spirit world. The elders taught that their land was blessed and cursed. There were rules that had to be followed, rituals that had to be observed, and one commandment that no one dared to break: never step foot into the forbidden grove. The grove was an ancient place, older than the village itself. The trees there were gnarled and twisted, their roots crawling over each other like the fingers of a buried giant. The villagers whispered that the grove belonged to the spirits, a sacred ground where no living man should tread. Some claimed that those who entered never returned. Others believed the spirits allowed them to return, but not as they once were. For generations, the people of Nyamekrom respected this boundary. The village thrived, and peace endured. But peace is a fragile thing, and one mistake is all it takes to shatter it. One year, the land was cursed with a drought unlike any before. The rivers shrank into muddy trickles. The crops withered under the relentless sun. Animals that once roamed the jungle disappeared, leaving the hunters to return empty-handed. The people of Nyamekrom grew desperate. At first, they turned to their gods. The village shaman led ceremonies, sacrificing their few remaining goats in hopes that the spirits would take pity on them. The elders prayed, asking the ancestors for guidance. But the skies remained empty of rain. Then came the whispers, the kind that start as hushed conversations in the shadows, spread from ear to ear, and grow into dangerous thoughts. The young men of the village began to question the old ways. What if the answer to their suffering lay beyond the forbidden grove? What if the spirits were hiding something that could save them? One night, a small group of hunters made their decision. Armed with spears and torches, they waited until the village was asleep and then slipped into the jungle, their hearts pounding as they approached the forbidden grove. As they stepped past the first line of trees, the air grew thick. The sounds of the jungle, chirping insects, rustling leaves, vanished. It was as if the grove existed in another world, untouched by time. The deeper they went, the darker it became. Then, in a small clearing at the heart of the grove, they saw it. A stone altar, cracked with age, but still standing strong. Upon it sat a golden idol, its surface covered in symbols none of them recognized. The idol seemed to glow faintly, as if alive. One of the hunters, a man named Kojo, stepped forward. His breath was heavy, his mind torn between fear and temptation. The idol was beautiful. Surely it was meant to be discovered. Perhaps it was a gift from the spirits, something they could use to end their suffering. Without hesitation, he reached out and lifted the idol. At that moment, the wind howled through the grove like the wail of a dying man. The trees shuddered, their branches snapping as if recoiling from what had just happened. The hunters exchanged nervous glances. They had what they came for. It was time to leave. As they ran back to the village, they could feel the jungle watching them. That evening, the people of Nyamekrom gathered around the fire, marveling at the idol. Some believed it was a sign of salvation. Others, especially the elders, were not so sure. The shaman, an old woman with eyes clouded by time, stared at the idol in silence. Then she spoke in a voice heavy with dread. "You have done something terrible." The village grew quiet. "This does not belong to us. It belongs to them." Her words sent a chill through the crowd. The hunters, still proud of their discovery, tried to argue. They had seen no spirits, no curses, just an old idol in an abandoned grove. But deep down, even they felt the unease creeping into their bones. Then, just as the shaman was about to order the idol's return, the wind changed. A mist rolled into the village, slow, creeping, unnatural. It slithered through the streets, curling around huts like fingers reaching for something unseen. The air grew thick with the scent of earth and decay. And then came the whispers, soft at first, a distant murmur, like voices speaking just beyond the veil of reality, then louder, closer. Words in a language no one understood, spoken by mouths that did not belong to this world. The villagers huddled together, their eyes darting around, searching for the source of the voices. The mist grew denser, swirling like a living thing. Figure moved within it, shadows without form, eyes that glowed like dying embers. Then came the screams. No one saw what happened next. No one lived to tell the tale. At dawn, the sun rose over an empty village. A group of travelers arrived, expecting to trade goods with Nyamekrom as they did every season. Instead, they found silence. The huts stood as they always had, doors wide open. The cooking fires had burned out, pots of food untouched. The livestock still wandered their pens, but the people were gone. No bodies, no footprints leading away, just an empty village frozen in time. The travelers searched, calling out names, knocking on doors. But there was no response, only the stillness of a place abandoned overnight. Then one of them found it. At the center of the village, where the night's fire had burned low, the golden idol sat once more. But it was no longer the brilliant treasure the hunters had taken from the grove. Its surface was now cracked and blackened, as if burned from within, and etched into the dirt around it were the same strange symbols the hunters had seen in the grove. No one dared to touch it. The travelers left quickly, spreading the news of Nyamekrom's fate. The elders of nearby villages declared the land cursed, warning that any who set foot there would suffer the same fate. And so, Nyamekrom was left to the jungle. Over time, the trees grew over its remains, reclaiming the land where laughter and life once thrived. But even today, those who dare venture near say the spirits are not at rest. On certain nights, when the moon is high and the mist is thick, you can still hear them. The whispers, calling for the ones who took what was never theirs. Like, share, comment, and subscribe for part 2.